Yes, good. Okay, cool. Thank you. My name is Demitri Downing. Um, I have been involved in the Arizona industry since August 2012. We started MITA in May of 2016 as the #1 place to network, getting people together to learn about the industry, learn about opportunities, and share information with each other. Obviously, in these times, MITA is now a quiet entity since March, but we'll be back. And so what we decided to do, let me first introduce Danielle, who's the person who makes MITA happen. Maybe you could tell a little bit about your experience.
Yes, hi, my name is Danielle Sedgwick. I do a lot of the operations and strategic partnerships for MITA, as well as the event coordination and setup. So I got introduced to this industry back in 2015 by putting on cannabis conferences. So I had a chance to put on over 9 different conferences from coast to coast. So had a great experience with all different brands and ancillary companies, and met with Demitri back in 2016 to get MITA up and running, and it's been great ever since. So we're just excited that we've come this far, and excited to be able to offer this as an opportunity for us to get together.
So what we decided to do, obviously, at the end of March, we saw the pivoting to virtual events, and there's so many virtual events happening across the cannabis industry, and we see this being the norm at least until September or October. So we decided to do what we call the virtual town hall series. So every 2 weeks, on Wednesday from 4 to 6, MITA is going to be doing a town hall, getting members of the industry together or people that specialize in certain sections. The May 6th meeting, for example, will be all about smart and safe, have a bunch of lawyers, et cetera, explaining what the legalization for 2020 will look like. And then, I don't know the date, there's another one every 2 weeks. But we're going to go until we can get back together as a group. And but we thought we'd start by showcasing, and there's a number of members of the media on the town hall here. We start by showcasing some of the different sectors and segments of the community: cultivators, brands, labs, ancillary, packaging, legal. And so we picked some of you, and there's Tyler from Hypur, he's on board. So we picked some of you to help express and share with the community a little bit about the new norm as it's impacting your space, your particular area of the industry. We might hear a lot, in the media and the news about dispensaries, but they're only one part of the greater marijuana industry. So we definitely want to hear from everybody in great detail as to how COVID has impacted them. But first, I'd like to start by allowing our panelists who are introducing themselves to this online community, many of whom are outside of Arizona, even international, which is exciting, to give you a couple of minutes. Tell us a little bit about your history, what your company is, what space, what sector of the cannabis industry you're in, and who you are. Take your time, a minute or two. This is infomercial time. So let's start with Nadim from Bake Bros, my old friend. Where are you at there, Nadim?
How are you? Yes, thank you all for joining, especially to our participants. Thank you, Danielle and Demitri, for putting this on. It is really cool, and I love seeing all of the strategical ways to get everybody to come together, right, and ways we can use technology. But my name is Nadim Al-Hassan. I'm one of the co-founders of Bake Bros here in Arizona. We are a local company to Arizona. We started here, and we are currently, working into other states as well. But we are Arizona's home edible brand. So nice to meet you all.
And Nadine, how long have you been involved in the industry?
Bake Bros has been an established business for 5 years. I was a part of the industry in 2010. So I moved to Arizona for the cannabis industry. I originally came from Oklahoma. I grew up in Texas, Missouri, so the whole Midwest Bible Belt. But I had a near and dear friend, a wrestling coach who cannabis helped dearly, and that prompted me to want to learn more about cannabis and the medical benefits behind it. And so that led me to Arizona because I had some family here, and lo and behold, here I am now.
Oh, that's fantastic. And everybody knows I have a man crush on Nadine. So this is the casual group here.
I think I had 2 birthdays last year thanks to you. So I think I was saying happy birthday twice at MITA.
There's no secrets here. So let's move on to number 2. Just a list I have. I'm not alphabetical order. Mohit Asnani, who I call Mo, from ILava and Downtown Dispensary. Are you on the line?
Yeah, you guys need to still learn how to spell my name, but I am on the line. Yes, I see it's spelled completely wrong, but it's okay.
I need to get my hair back to your color. You're up. Tell us a little bit about Mo, where he comes from, how long he's been in the industry, what ILava and Downtown is.
Yeah, so we've been around since 2013. That's when we first opened up Downtown. Opened up D2 in 2017. Had ILava since around the same time as D2, and Touch is the #1 selling topical in the States. So that's been great, and really, getting Delta 8 out there also. But I think more so it's about what we're trying to do, in terms of community. We were able to procure N95 masks and stuff like that. So I think we're really focusing more so on dealing with this new reality that we're in. And I think that the industry in general is well poised to do that. With the hand sanitizers being made, I know Nature's Medicine in Phoenix was one of the first to do that. They actually shared their formula with us. I thank them for that also.
We'll get to all that in a second, Mo. I just want everybody to know a little bit more about ILava and Downtown. You look 2 stores located in Tucson.
Yeah, so we have over 120 employees between the 3 facilities. We have 2 dispensaries and a production facility here in Tucson. Basically, everybody's based in Tucson except for the sales team, which is Alex Sternheim, who's also on the line, and his crew. They've been really great in helping make sure our delivery drivers are safe in the whole process of logistics and fulfillment.
And you have a couple of products, ILava and ILava Hemp.
Yeah, we have multiple lines actually. We have the hemp line, which is it's still in an early stage. It's been growing quite a bit recently, and then the topical and vape line is actually, vapes are what we mostly move to our stores. The Delta 9 regular THC version, Clear Gold vapes.
Okay, good. I just want the audience to get an understanding of how deep and broad the knowledge base is here. I mean, so we'll go through everybody and their experience. And Mo, you're one of the most knowledgeable individuals in cannabis that I know, so we're glad to have you here. John Hartzell, next. Hartzell.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I want to first thank MITA, Demitri, and Danielle for their leadership in gathering us in this virtual session and giving our community an opportunity to get together and talk about what's going on. And we'll first say, of course, we're very proud to be a part of an industry that truly is essential. And I know our business has taken drastic measures to make changes to support good social distancing. And at Dizpot, we're a packaging company. We provide both branding and packaging opportunities for all products in the cannabis and hemp industry. We face those industries specifically, realizing that really the importance of understanding and knowing the products. We're all basically consumers here, and understanding and knowing the products are really important to the branding and packaging efforts that we do. Additionally, we're recently have launched Dizpot Intelligent Packaging, and we'll be interested in talking to wholesale brands about how to connect with the consumer beyond their purchase at the store through the use of their packaging. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, Demitri and Danielle.
So Dizpot is Arizona, nationwide, available across.
Sure, we're.
I know you're Arizona based.
Yeah, we're brick and mortar here in Arizona and Oklahoma. We have distributorship in the state of Missouri. We've worked in over 30 of the legal markets in the United States, and Mexico, and Canada.
Oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. And so I'm counting up years here. How many years have you been involved in the cannabis industry?
I've been involved in the cannabis industry here since 2012 and been in business at Dizpot since 2017.
I'm just doing a little math over here on the side. Alex Sternheim, my buddy from Tucson. Where you at? There you at, Alex. Tell us a little bit about Alex, where he came from, what his company does, and why you are an expert about cannabis. products, the industry, and cannabis.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Danielle. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. I'm Alex Sternheim from Starhouse Distribution. We started in 2016, but I'm definitely part of a lucky group of individuals. I was finishing school at the U of A when Prop 203 was passed. So I had every opportunity out of college to pursue this industry. It was very slow to start. I participated in the caregiver program before dispensaries. And then as the program was evolving, I've worked with groups like Bloom Dispensaries. We took Cornucopia products with Peggy, rebranded into Copia. And then I met Mo Asnani, also on this panel, and he was launching ILava. And he believed in my vision of launching this third-party distribution company. We were really successful launching that product, which garnered some exposure to other brands like drip oils and extracts produced by TrueMed, but we also distribute for now. We have a dedication to that sector of the business. We really like to specialize and improve things like communication between brands and stores, improve access to these products from patients that rely on them. And we're really proud of the work that we do. We strive to have a really forward-thinking working environment that inspires the best ideas possible out of our team. So what we do is handle all of the extra stress for the brands so they can focus on doing what they do best, making world-class products. That's a little bit about me, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, and how many years have you been involved in the industry, Alex?
Well, I mean, I was a strong advocate for Prop 203 in college. And so, since 2010, I've been dedicated to this space.
Cool, awesome, thank you. I'm just adding some numbers. Hypur, Tyler, where you at?
Right here. Back in the background. Hey, how are you?
Nice of you to join us. Go ahead. And
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be in the industry for about 6 years now. For those of you that don't know who we are, we're a regulatory compliance technology that banks and credit unions use to bank highly regulated industries. Cannabis is obviously the most polarizing of those. So over half of the banks and credit unions in the US today now use our technology as their backbone to serve these industries. So that's enabled the payment side of Hypur to launch nationwide about 9 months ago for the first time in our history. And we've been a huge beneficiary of all of this. It's kind of bittersweet, obviously, but we've gone nationwide or we're going nationwide with, I believe, 12 of the top multi-state operators right now. We're fortunate to just bring out a really big partner in California, which is ILava. That got national news. So together, collectively, we're attacking the delivery side of this in a big way. So yeah, again, just very fortunate to have a unique seat at the table for the last 6 years.
And just real quickly, because it's important, and MITA is actually going to start shifting to support more companies more like Dizpot and Hypur, which are companies that are national in their reach, but based here in Arizona. We think that's a very important element of the cannabis industry that we would like to work more closely with. How many employees does Hypur have here in the Arizona market? Tyler? They muted us.
Lost him.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Next we have Liz Valentine. Liz, can you hear us okay now?
Hey, Tyler, where are you?
He's
Why do we
Can Liz hear us?
I'll tell you, there's a problem here. Give us a second.
Oh, I can hear now. Oh my God.
There you
Okay, perfect.
go. I thought the problem was with me.
It's always with you.
No, it took me a long time though. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell
Okay.
us about Green Star, how long you've been in the industry. Tell us about Liz. her
Okay.
experience.
My name is Liz Valentine. I started Green Star Doctors in 2011. I came from Denver in 2009 to 2011. I worked as regional manager for 3 dispensaries in Denver, and I was the sole buyer for 7 dispensaries under our belt. So I learned a lot about everything in the industry for patients at Green Star for their benefit. I've been helping educate people when they get to the dispensary what to think and what to look for. So yeah, we just celebrated 9 years. No, you can't hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you
Yeah, we
fine.
got you.
Okay. So I've been working in Arizona now for 9 years, and we're in our 10th season. I can't hear you guys.
We can hear you.
Okay, thanks. I think it's just Dimitri then. His lips are moving and I can't hear anything. So I recently got on the news to get telemedicine for the patients. We've been pretty upset that you know, we've been working as essential workers like most people in the industry, and just looking for better guidelines to help people. I keep going. Me? I'll stop.
So as cool as it is to work remotely, it's still difficult dealing with all the technologies. But Liz, I think you're doing great, and I can hear you loud and clear, and I think everybody can hear. I think Dimitri's talking to Danielle. And,
Okay, I just didn't know what to think because
Yeah.
it's just him splashing at me.
No, it's okay. I think
So to continue, thank you, Nadine. I appreciate that. So we're just a little mom and pop. We rock and roll at every event that we try to be at. We're here for the patients. We appreciate that people are still coming in, and everyone needs their card, obviously. But it's been really hard on us because we have all the high riskers coming out, and you know, I've been trying to tell people, like, you know, it's not just that they come to our office and go home. It's that they have to stop at the gas station. They have to go get food. They're stopping at multiple places, and they're just at high risk at that point. So I don't know. I'm sorry. This is a technical.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that was a little weird. That was my bad.
Your name spells Audi, Dimitri, so it's really misspelled now. You might want to fix that.
I don't know what's going on here. So if there are technical difficulties again, I'm going to start signing. So I hope you guys all bear with me. So Jenny Corso from Level 1 Labs, you're up.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on this. I really appreciate it, and I'm delighted to be here. I started in the industry about 3 years ago under Arizona Natural Selections, and was hired to research and develop the Darwin brand. Many of you are familiar with me through different panels on MITA. I've spoken at Women Grow, the U.S. Cannabis Conference that you used to host here a couple years ago was my first speaking event in the industry, and that was about 2.5 years ago. So I've been a scientist in the industry now, moving forward with Level 1 Labs since April 6th, and I am absolutely excited to be a part of this business. I'm a biochemical exercise physiologist, so my research background, or my background as a scientist, essentially is in biochemistry and exercise physiology and metabolic research. And I kind of came into the industry with the interest in the biochemistry of the cannabis plant and its applications and how it works in the human physiology. So it was a really great introduction to research and develop the Darwin brand. I had a wonderful experience there. I learned a lot about not just cannabis, but really the workings of a business within this industry, as well as running a laboratory there. Here with Level 1, I am the Director of Scientific Research. For those that aren't familiar with Level 1 Labs, we were founded in 2018 in Scottsdale. We're an ISO accredited analytical laboratory here in the cannabis industry. We pride ourselves here on providing quality, robust science with a focus on accuracy, patient safety, and scientific ethics. I think it's utmost important at this point in time, especially in the state of Arizona, that the laboratories provide the businesses and patients both on both end of the spectrum with scientifically founded analytics that are ethically based. The team here is really excellent. The microbiologists and chemists here are excellent. Everyone else running the business here is excellent, and I'm really happy to be a part of this team. We provide excellent customer service. We're very progressive and science driven. A little bit more about Level 1. They co-founded ACLA, or the Arizona Cannabis Laboratory Association, with Ryan Tracy of C4 Labs. The purpose of that nonprofit is to provide ongoing lobbying efforts and ensuring patient safety and robust efforts to ensure testing is provided in Arizona, and it's founded and grounded in science. We've been heavily involved in SB 1494, integral part of the ADHS Medical Marijuana Testery Advisory Committee, consulted during the rulemaking process. We've been to all the meetings, consulted on pesticides, terpenes, and microbiological aspects involved in the bill, and what you're going to see coming down by November 1st, 2020. The benefit of working with a bunch of scientists is that we understand everything that's going on in as far as a pandemic is concerned. So when it comes down to understanding the research and the media and all the studies that are published in JAMA, the Lancet, the medical journals, it's nice to be a conduit for a lot of other people that need an explanation of the science and filter through, I hate to use the word fake news, but there's a lot of panic and fright out there. So I find it to be a nice conduit for a lot of people that need just to calm down or understand what's going on as far as being afraid of what COVID-2 has to offer everybody, because it doesn't pick and choose who to infect.
Okay, thank you. Great. Level 1, we love having you. Do you want to introduce the next person?
Yes, next we have Lilac Power with the Giving Tree. Hi, Lilac.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
All about Lilac and the Giving Tree.
All about Lilac and the Giving Tree. So, hi everyone. I am Lilac. I am the founder and CEO of Giving Tree Dispensary. We're located in North Phoenix, right by the Deer Valley Airport, and we are about to celebrate our 7th anniversary in the middle of May. So, we have been open in the same location for about 7 years now. We are vertically integrated, so we grow, we extract, we retail, we wholesale, and you know, we have 41 people on our team, and that is about the same amount that we keep for the past 2 years. And then we have a couple of brands that we wholesale in the market. K.I.N.D, which is more of the #1 capsule seller in Arizona, and we're at about 50 stores. And then we have K.I.N.D, which specialize more of the concentrates, the high THC extractions, diamonds. And that is us.
So you've been involved in the industry since the beginning of the Arizona industry, is that correct?
Way in the beginning, yeah, probably like Nadim in 2010.
That's another 10-year there. And just a note for the audience, all these individuals' names and emails will be available on the MITA website afterwards, and so you can reach out and get in contact with them. But let's move on to...
Let's go with Dr. Sue Sisley. Sue, are you on? Yay.
Oh, Sue, we need to unmute you. Let me see if we can...
How's that? Is that better?
Oh,
right.
there you go.
All right. Thank you for inviting me. It's so great to see
Sue.
everyone.
Wait, Sue Sisley is in the house.
You guys, I'm Sue Sisley. I'm based here in Scottsdale. I'm an internal medicine doc, and I've been involved with the industry from before we even passed the initiative. I spent 2 years campaigning for that thing with Andrew Myers, and I was one of the few MDs at that point who would speak openly on the record defending the need for medical cannabis. So I'm really pleased to see how this program has flourished. I'm so proud of you guys. This industry, the way you've behaved through this pandemic is so exemplary. You guys have, really kind of self-policed the operations and made sure to keep patients safe and keep them feeling, optimistic. And so I'm really, really grateful to you guys for all the good work that you're doing on the front lines, just like our healthcare workers. You guys are no different. So in our lab, we have Scottsdale Research Institute where we conduct FDA controlled trials looking at inhaled cannabis flower as medicine. So we only study dry bud material, and we look at both smoking and vaporizing cannabis flower to treat pain, PTSD, and looking at cannabis for opioid substitution. So we do FDA controlled trials, and we just completed a study that's probably going to be published in May. And we're getting ready to launch our next study, which will hopefully be over the summer. The way we've been affected by COVID is just the FDA has shut down all clinical trials because of the need for physical distancing. So any trials that were actively enrolling patients are now pausing. And then once things lift, then we'll be back to enrolling patients. And the next study we're starting is looking at advanced cancer patients, and we're going to be administering smoked cannabis flower to see how flower will improve their quality of life and treat their breakthrough pain in these late stage cancer patients. So I'll be telling you a lot more about this. I just want to give you a little teaser about it, but you're gonna, as soon as we get our advertising approved by FDA and IRB, all of that material will go out to you guys, and you can help us recruit patients for the study and make sure we get data that could be publishable later.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sue.
Just to make it like a MITA meeting, Sisley is in the house.
You guys, I love it. Thanks, Demitri.
All right. Next, we have Ian from GeoLeaf Brands. Ian, tell us a little bit about yourself and GeoLeaf.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Demitri. Thank you, Danielle. So I'm the DOS of GeoLeaf brand, which is an Arizona wholesale distributor. We focus on customer service. We understand and recognize that there's more to the industry than just the goods and services. I personally been in the wholesale game since Arizona started the medical marijuana program. I guess you could say, one of the OGs. We launched one of the first locally owned and operated concentrate companies, K.I.N.D concentrates. I guess you could we're kind of a big deal. One of the main differences, I guess, is going to be our industry knowledge and experience. I'm sure as many of you can relate to, I've done almost everything with every aspect known to wholesale, from the sales to deliveries, collections, training, packaging, R&D. That's personally my favorite. I may have even done some R&Ding with many of you guys in the past at MITA event. Now that I'm actually managing, I have a stellar all-star account manager team who covers the entire state. We represent best-in-class wholesale brands like K.I.N.D Concentrates, Huxton, Kiva, Chong's Choice, Troche, Keef Cola. Our products are found in 91% of Arizona dispensaries. Our wholesale philosophy has always been to work with each dispensary partner independently of one another and really hone in on their particular needs. I've also tried to instill in my account managers the importance of listening rather than selling. Innovation, relevancy, and excitement, I think, are some of the keys to successful brands. And I think as I close, I just want to say, please stay tuned. We have some exciting and innovating news coming soon.
Yes, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have a Samuel Richard representing the ADA. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much, Danielle and Demitri, for putting this on. I'll add to the choir there of your thanks in making this happen. So thanks to you all for that. As Danielle said, my name's Sam, and I'm the executive director of the Arizona Dispensaries Association, and so grateful to be in that chair at this pivotal moment here as we approach November of this year, where it looks like, if you will excuse me, I'm very excited about May 4th, which is Star Wars Day. We seem to be the only hope for legalization of adult use across the country. For those of you who track those types of things, you'll know that Missouri just abandoned their effort due to the COVID crisis. And even here in Arizona, it is really an open question whether any other initiative will make it to the ballot other than Smart and Safe. So very grateful for those of you on the call who have supported the initiative with your signature. If you haven't yet, we have signature gatherers all across the state at many of the dispensaries that are represented here on the panel, as well as many of those who are not. So be sure next time you swing by your favorite dispensary to ask to sign the Smart and Safe petition. And we're just very grateful for the members who are here on this panel. Lilac from the Giving Tree is a member, so thanks for that. Mo is not only a member, but is also a member of the board. So grateful for that. And of course, Baked Bros is a member, as is Star House. So thanks to you all here for your membership and your support as we navigate these challenging times together as one, because our mission at the association is to protect and advance the regulated ecosystem of cannabis here in Arizona. And we couldn't do it without y'all's support. So thank you so much. And to answer your question, Dimitri, I've been a professional in the industry for a very short time. This is my first official gig in the industry, though I've been a patient and otherwise involved in the industry for quite a while. So yeah, happy to be here.
You know, I gotta give it up to Sue's dog over there.
I know, stealing the show.
Stealing the show. I'm really interested in what you have to say, Sam, but her dog is, I want to reach out and pet it. So,
I should have brought my desert tortoise or 6 chickens with me.
You know, and Sam, for those of you who want to learn more about the initiative, about what adult use legalization looks like, the market opportunities, the business opportunities, the structural changes, Sam will be one of our panelists for May 6th from 4 until 5:30, 6 p.m. At our Smart and Safe overview second MITA town hall, which won't have as many technical errors. So thank you, Sam, for coming today, and we'll see you next in 2 weeks. But next is
we have Joe with Sachs Tierney. Hi, Joe. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm grateful to be here. Thanks again, Dimitri. Thanks for MITA for allowing me to participate here. Very honored. My name is Joe K.I.N. I'm an attorney at Sachs Tierney. We're a full service law firm. We've been here, basically here in Scottsdale in the Valley for 60 plus years. Our firm has a very well-known and accomplished cannabis practice group. We're led by Janet Jackham, along with paralegal Tina Dancer. Our group is multifaceted. Basically, we deal with multiple aspects of the cannabis industry. This includes state regulatory compliance issues, acquisitions and mergers, real estate transactions, and strategic business and legal planning, just to name a few different aspects that we work with. Please check out SachsTierney.com and look at Janet Jackham's bio. It lists all her experiences and her accomplishments in the industry. She's been involved in the cannabis industry for 10 years, since 2010, since it started here in Arizona. For me specifically, my practice focuses on cannabis as well as federal and tribal Indian law, also employment law. So right now, I've been dealing, advising employers on a lot of the new acts that have been passed, namely the Family First Coronavirus Response Act, the new paid leave provisions there, the expanded family leave provisions. I've been helping employers kind of navigate through that. So yeah, again, I'm grateful to be here. And if any business needs any kind of legal advice or anything regarding cannabis industry or even on the employment side, yeah, go to SachsTierney.com and you can see all the work we do. Thank you.
Okay, so I just had an idea, panelists. Since all of you run businesses, text me your messages. We'll just get Joe to talk for the next hour and a half and save ourselves a tremendous legal bill. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, I really appreciate you being here. Sachs Tierney is one of the leaders in cannabis law, and I know you're part of a much bigger team over there. So
Yeah,
we really
thank you.
appreciate you joining us. And we do have some specific questions for you about CARES and tribes. We'll get to those later.
Yeah.
Specific questions for panelists. Kim Prince, where are you at? Proven Media.
Wonderful. Dimitri, can you hear me? I'm here.
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
First of
Tell us
all,
about yourself.
again, I'm Kim Prince with Proven Media, and I want to give a huge shout out to Dimitri and Danielle, and basically many of the panelists on this forum today. We've worked with so many of them. We, as Proven Media, we got started in the industry. We have been PR professionals for quite a few years and really changed our focus to privately held and publicly traded companies that do business in cannabis. And we really got our start with Dimitri and Danielle in late 2014, early 2015. So again, huge shout out to Dimitri and Danielle for keeping the good energy going. Related, we've been named we try to keep a fairly low profile for ourselves, keep a very high profile for our clients. We've been named one of the top most powerful PR cannabis firms in the country. We've worked locally, regionally, nationally, and then internationally as well. We were lucky enough to do a press conference for President Vicente Fox. So really, we just encourage all of you to keep your communications going. During this time, communications are more important than they've ever been. So stay connected with your peers, stay connected with your patients, stay connected with your associates. Should you need any help crafting messages or understanding maybe communication at a layered, in a layered way, definitely reach out to us. We help MITA as well with a lot of their PR and marketing communications as needed. So anyway, again, huge shout out to each one of you, whether it's Nadeem, Alex, Lilac, I'm just looking through the list here, John. We have been, Mo, I'm seeing you there. Really, we've worked with so many of you, and just a huge shout out and thanks to, and Sue, there's Sue, for being such professionals and helping to take this great industry that we're working in and take it to the next level. And I just want to remind all of you to keep communicating. That's really the glue that holds the industry together with not only our patients, but our peers. So thank you so much for having us, Dimitri.
Yeah, so let's move on to some of the questions. We got a lot of individual questions. People want to know what Sue's up to. People want to know about tribes, et cetera. But let me start with what's most important. And that, you know, when I look here and I see a bouquet of the cannabis industry, I think 15 years ago, and that the people distributing, selling, producing cannabis didn't give a crap about the community. They weren't paying taxes. They were all underground black market, just doing their own thing. But what we have is individuals, business individuals like yourselves, who are available at these times to step up and help the community and work and improve the lives of others around them. So, and I know many of you have done some different things. So we'll start with start with Mo, and the question is, and we'll get to how this has impacted your employees and how the new normal and COVID and social distancing. We'll get to the production and supply chain and all that stuff in a second. But let's start with the reality that, you know, as good tax-paying citizens, we are stepping up to help around us in a time of need. And if it wasn't for the progress in legalization, this would not be possible. So let's start with Mo. Tell us some of the stories and what your company has been involved in down in Tucson or elsewhere with the COVID crisis. Go ahead, Mo.
So thanks, Dimitri. The first thing that we did right in the middle of March, when this thing became a reality for all of us, is we decided that we had to close up our dispensing area. We made that move at both our stores. I believe it was Monday, March 16th. I remember going in and just saying, no one's coming back here anymore. We're going to go and get, you know, PPE. I was able to acquire some pretty quickly, masks, gloves. We already had some of that. And you really want to start thinking about this as a reality that's going to go on till the end of the year at least. And I say that not because I think we should all start to change some of these practices, you know, if reopening things eventually soon and all of that. But every dispensary agent who's working in retail is probably interacting with 50 to 60 patients a day. So for us, we looked at that and said, we don't want to be a touch point to spread COVID. And from there on, you know, we decided to make some of these measures very proactively so that, you know, we're sanitizing more often. We're working with the community down here too, in terms of contributing things like masks, like I mentioned earlier, making hand sanitizer. But you kind of change your entire perception of what your business model is. You no longer want that much foot traffic. You're not trying to drive that many people to your stores unless they already know what they want, because you don't want them to congregate at once. So I think it's kind of like changing your mindset very quickly and adapting. And because of the cannabis industry and the experience we have had with adapting, I think it's given us a lot of experience to move quickly, you know, be it banking stuff we've had to do in the past or whatever the case may have been. I know most people in the cannabis industry know how to navigate rough environments, you know, better than others. And
Well, thank you, Mo. And I know I've been in touch with some city council people down there. I know you're working with some N95 and elastics and sewing clubs and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we'll get to more of that. Nadim, I heard a story about your guys' activities in the community in regards to COVID. Let the public know what your company is doing to step up to help.
Yeah, so right now it's what we've been doing is we're running what's called what we like to call a Think Global Support Local. And you know, everybody wants to save the world, right? I mean, we all think we have a Superman, you know, right underneath our shirt, and we want to rip it off and wear our cape. But the way that you can save the world is really helping the people around you, right? So helping the people that are closest to you, our family, our friends, local businesses, and that's exactly what we've been doing. So a lot of the dispensary owners that are here, you're dealing with it as well. You know, the struggles that are going on right now, how busy things are, the changes. And so we've been delivering meals to dispensaries, frontline responders, ICU units, fire stations, police stations. We've delivered just about upward of 1,000 meals in the last week alone. And that's really what we're focusing on right now. So everything from face masks to face shields, gloves. We've been delivering those products to hospitals and a couple other organizations. So we, if you do, I'll put the link in the chat, or you can also just go to bakerose.com. It's the banner image. You'll see Think Global Support Local, and you'll see all the efforts that we are working on and doing right now. Also an option to participate if anybody does want to participate. You know, something that has increased is the amount of domestic violence. And I may not be domestic, but I do come from a broken home and an abusive home as well. And that's something that our team really cares passionately about. And so we've teamed up with a New Leaf, and that is a foundation here in Arizona who caters to or helps out with many different shelters. And so we've started a GoFundMe, which you can see right on our webpage as well, on that Think Global Support Local. And yeah, guys, if anybody does want to help out with that, I do encourage you to check it out. It's been truly an incredible process with our team, getting these meals out and getting these supplies out to everybody. I'm super thankful for our team. I mean, we've got a team of about 35 people between the warehouse and the front end. And our front end alone, I mean, just this past weekend, we hit upward of 25 different locations between dispensaries, fire stations, and police stations. And it's been really cool. So we teamed up with the local restaurant, Chiba Hut, if everyone's familiar. You know, it's a cannabis and enthusiastic restaurant, but we figured they were hurting a little bit. So we teamed up with them. They helped us with all the caterings. We know that 420 was a really busy weekend. So we went to a lot of accounts and offered to bring them lunch. And we're still working through those right now and still doing that. So yeah, guys, check it out. I'll put it in the chat too.
You know, and I want to, but don't want to belittle the point. I'd like to go on and on and on. Who would like to go next, or like to point out something that their company is doing specifically? I know Lilac, you are having people work locally. Just raise your hand and I'll call on you, and you can go next. Lilac, then Tyler, then go ahead, Lilac.
Yeah, so I think the Demitri, we're known for always being part of the community. It's part of who we are. It's part of our values. And we've always been, fundraising in the dispensary, and we actually do team up with a domestic abuse shelter here in town, Chrysalis, and now they need more help, so we're getting more and more involved. But our focus right now, I think, as people have mentioned, our employees as essential workers go to work every day, and as much as we're all passionate about what we do, and we're so lucky to have a job and be able to help others, it's also very stressful. So we've been focusing on really supporting our team and supporting our local community. So we're supporting local restaurants around us. And we make sure that when we order, and we order often now, to make sure we support the restaurants next to where where the dispensary is. And then we also bought face masks for all the employees, and we supported a local organization here that supports refugees. This is who makes those masks, and this is who sells them here in Arizona. So we're really focusing on supporting our local community.
Yeah, you know, I wish anyone who doesn't understand the importance of advancing legalization to the point where we have adult use choice internationally, you know, across the board, where it's no longer a question, could see and hear this group of individuals understand that this is what happens when you bring it out of the dark, and now you have individuals who can step up and help in a time of need. Let's move on to Tyler. I know Hypur is a local-based company. You guys are employing people, which is help enough. You have a product which is in high demand, which is probably help enough. But go on, tell us about what Hypur is involved in.
Yeah, I mean, we were fortunate, Dimitri, to be able to work remote. And so, you know, our company's been doing that, but we launched a contactless version of Hypur. So now in a delivery scenario, if a driver goes out to deliver product to a consumer, they can click a text message button, a text is sent to the consumer, they enter their what we call a personal access code, and the transaction's done. And that also works for pre-order and at the retail location. So it's been very popular. It's been part of the reason why we've grown so rapidly during this time. But you know, I think the other part of this, Dimitri, and I know I don't want to get ahead of ourselves for conversational purposes, but I think a lot of sophisticated retailers throughout the country realize that retail is great, but that's not where the future of the product is. The future of the product is to the consumer that buys from Amazon, or, you know, they want that experience, they want the convenience, and they may be a fringe consumer today, but that's where this industry is going. And so for us to provide a sustainable means of transaction and predictability on that side, and now with the contactless version, it's been a huge windfall for us.
Well, I know I'm buying my wine in boxes, so maybe one day that cannabis will be that way.
Yeah.
I want to hear from John Hartzell real quickly, because that man was born helping the community. So I don't know what Dizpot has been involved in. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm sure that your company has been involved in some community activities in relation to COVID. Would you like to go next, or?
Yeah, sure, Dimitri. Thank you. And the first and foremost, we support our organizations that support our industry, and I don't even know what the membership is called, Dimitri or Danielle, that we have with MITA. We are regularly supporting the Smart and Safe campaign and ensuring that we have good funds towards the ends of having adult use legalized in November, and appreciate the good work of those folks, Sam and your team, that are putting that campaign together. Would encourage everyone here not only to sign the petition if you're a registered voter, but also to make a contribution to the campaign and participate as much and as often as you can, because it will be an incredible boon to our industry and all of our places in it if we do that. Additionally, we've gone to a skeleton staff in our office, but of course we produce millions and millions of packages every month that put a smile on somebody's face at the end of the road. And so we have maintained all of our production. We have maintained all of our shipping, outbound deliveries on the road in Arizona and Oklahoma. Our staff is working tirelessly to be sure that our production lead times and our delivery timelines maintain as we go forward through this. What I can see that really is an important outcome of all of this is that this industry, Mo is right. It is built to handle emergencies like this. It's built to handle difficult situations. And I look around at my colleagues here and see the attendees, and just really can appreciate all of the hard work they're doing to maintain their businesses and services that are supporting the patients from this industry.
All right, cool. And if anybody else wants to jump in about what their companies are doing, a specific project, a GoFundMe, we can put those all on the MITA website at a later date. but just let me know or jump in and throw it in at any time. But let's move on to a little bit about how business has changed. 2 months ago, we were doing this. Today, we are doing this. Let's start with Ian in the corner. Your reality has changed from 2 months ago to today. How has COVID impacted K.I.N.D, your brand, your business? What are the most dramatic changes for you? And this will be a question that we'll just go along, everybody can answer.
Sure, yeah. I think as a wholesaler, one of our biggest business models is to really educate to patients. I mean, we produce and wholesale products, but it's also part of our business model to educate patients on what these products are and how they would help. So, it's a two-step process. We like to get in front of the bud tenders, of course, and make sure they're all educated on the products, but the patients as well through promotions on site. We have a whole team of brand ambassadors that unfortunately we've had to furlough just because, we're not allowed in the dispensaries. I mean, when I say we're not allowed, we don't want to be either. I mean, we're trying to protect everybody here. So, it's just putting them on the back burner for right now. But again, this whole change is really prevented us from giving those new customers or new patients that may be entering this market the proper education needed about our particular product. So again, it presents a challenge when we can't go face to face with not only the dispensaries and the bud tenders, but the customers out there as well. It's still just all about education.
Joe, you're up next.
Yeah, what I see a lot of times, because I work with employers in various industries, is a lot of the concerns are concerning the new laws that have been passed. Examples including the Coronavirus Families First Act, which expanded paid sick leave. It also expanded FMLA. Under the act, you get 80 hours of new paid sick leave. That's in addition to Arizona paid sick leave. The expanded FMLA, you get 12 weeks of that. If you have to miss work due to take care of a child, that their school shut down or something like that. So that's a main issue a lot of employers have. Another issue a lot of employers are being exposed to, what they're confronting, is how do you deal with an employee that may have been exposed to COVID? There's been multiple guidance issued by the EEOC, which says now you can ask employees about symptoms. You can take employees' temperatures. So there's a lot of things that employers have a responsibility to do to protect their fellow employees at the work site. So there's been a lot of guidance on that,
Joe,
just what you can do.
Yeah, Joe,
Yeah,
hold it
go
up a
ahead.
second. With a raise of hands, how many have had an employee that has tested positive for COVID? Has anyone had an employee who's tested positive for COVID? Okay, well, I mean, it's interesting. It's good to know.
Yeah.
And thankfully, that's a no, of course. But
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So back to Joe, your work reality. I mean, I guess for
Yeah.
a lawyer, you're still working remotely, or how does that work?
Yeah.
What have you seen?
Yeah, the work remotely. Here at the law firm, of course, we can work remotely. We're fortunate that a lot of our work can be done by computer. But for employers that want to implement remote work policies, there's a few things we try to emphasize to these employers. One, I think communication is key when you do remote work policies. I think the employer and the employee both need to know what is expected of each other. One of these things is about like the Fair Labor Standards Act. Employees have to be paid, for wages. So you have to make sure, every time someone's working remotely, they got to make sure they log their time correctly, because you don't want to have any kind of, future liability issues regarding remote work. Another thing is security. What kind of systems do you need? What kind of IT equipment, or, do you got to change how you're doing security that people are working remotely? If there's any kind of sensitive data, information, anything like that, employers have to think about stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that arise in the kind of remote work kind of sphere that people need to think about, and employers need to know about.
Awesome. Jennifer, how has everyday life kind of changed for you and Level 1 Labs? Tell us about it.
To be honest, there hasn't been a whole lot of change because we're still offering a service, and I like to think that a laboratory with best practices is already a safe practice in the first place. We're already wearing gloves and masks around a lot of the reagents, so the scientists in the laboratory are used to that. The difficult thing that we are finding is to maintain caution when our couriers leaving the lab, because we do have a customer facing portion of the business. So, you know, we've changed to make sure that our courier is safe. So the courier interacting with the dispensaries for sample pickups, or if somebody comes to the lab for sample drop off, whoever they're interfacing with is gloved up and has a mask on. We're also really focused on making sure the scientists within the lab don't get sick, because if one scientist gets sick, and I think I speak for all the labs here, your lab can get shut down because you have to quarantine everybody. You can't bring somebody in that's COVID positive or is experiencing symptoms and then interacting with products and things like that in a small, tight space. You can't really work in a lab 6 feet apart when you're sharing instrumentation and prepping samples and doing data analyses and all the essential functions to make sure that we can remain functioning. On a positive note, we haven't seen a change in volume, and we're kind of at the mercy of the rest of the industry as far as our business being provided, because it is the industry and the patients that provide us, you know, clientele and business. So it's really nice to have that. And we're making sure that our core client base and new clients are getting taken care of in the same timeliness that we have been providing. So I think our staff here and the business has done a really good job at being safe and still providing an excellent service.
Nadim, you're up. No more use of the taking the shirt off imagery.
So, you know, some of you may know that my business partner and best friend, Thomas, our CEO, he is a Navy veteran. So with that being said, Dimitri, it's not happening. But with that being said, he really brings a militant mindset, you know, to our organization. And as difficult as it can be, because this isn't the military, it has time and time over shown to be very, very effective. And so we've been prepared for this, to be quite frank. You know, he was, you know, discussing this in early February, you know, talking about ramping up production, getting our distribution in order, talking with our events team. As many of you know, we do have a very strong education team. I'm sure everybody on this call has probably seen us in your dispensary, or the participants on this call, you've seen us at a dispensary. I mean, we were doing almost 30 events a month, seeing upward of 1,500 patients face to face. Now, while I personally miss that, and I know our team misses that a lot, it's a total bummer that, you know, we're not able to be there. So we've had to shift some positions around. Anybody that was working the events is now helping out either in distribution, or they're helping out in the packaging, or they're helping out in production. So we've been able to find spots for them, thankfully. And that has been, that was one obstacle, but we were able to overcome. Beyond that, we've ramped up, like I said, production. Our distribution hasn't been affected really. You know, our turnaround times are between 1 and 2 days. We're turning orders around quick, and that's because of our strong team and our strong levels of communication and the systems of our systems in place that we have for our management. You know, working remotely has, sure, it poses its challenge, or its challenges, but one thing is that we are face-to-face a lot more, and we are seeing, we're talking to, even though we miss being in the office, we're still having to, like, I'm finding myself personally FaceTiming everybody. Like, I'm just like, hey Siri, FaceTime, you know, and I'm FaceTiming everybody because I want to see them, you know. Oh, you want me to FaceTime you, Dimitri? I will, buddy, don't worry. We've been FaceTiming a lot more. We've been talking a lot more, and, you know, kind of like to what Joe had said, opening up and keeping those lines of communication strong. But with that, I also want to say making it fun. You know, we've done things like our, how do you keep the morale of the team strong, right? How do you keep everybody's mindset healthy and right? You know, we have meditation practices at our warehouse. We have meditation Zoom meetings, you know, weekly. We jump onto the Zoom meetings, and sometimes people have kettlebells. Sometimes people have, you know, workout bands. Sometimes pictures of their dog, not pictures, but their dogs, you know, are a part of the Zoom meetings. And it's all these little, you know, tips, tricks, and tactics that are really keeping everything fun and exciting. And again, just to kind of go back to that level of communication that is really, really important, that has really helped make all of this smooth versus very difficult. You know, I would say, you know, there's been curveballs, but there haven't. you know, we've been prepared for this, and you know, we really ramped up again production. So because there's a lot of unknowns as well. We didn't know, like, oh, okay, we can watch what's going on and we can see that everybody is stocking up. So let's, you know, amp that production up, or you know, that's where we're at.
Nadine, it's great. Yeah, I think if there's one person that's prepared for life, it's you. Bake Bros is going to rock. But let me move back up to Joe real quickly, since we have him here. There's been a lot of talk in the industry and in newspaper articles about the CARES Act and how it applies unemployment, et cetera, to members of this industry. And I know K.I.N.D over there talked about how brand ambassadors, and Nadeem is dealing with the same thing with the events. Would you like to talk at all about that particular subject?
Yeah, I can speak on that.
And then
Well,
we'll
the
move
CARES
on.
Act. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the CARES Act, they have two main basically vehicles to help businesses. They had the Paycheck Protection Program and then the emergency EIDL loans. I forgot what the EIDL stands for, but basically what these loans do is they provide you it could be up to $1 million or up to $10 million, 8-week loan if you cover payroll, cover utilities, you know, cover rent. Basically, the intent of the act with these loans was for employers to keep employees employed during these government shutdown orders across the country. Unfortunately, the SBA has relied on regulations that say any SBA loan cannot go to any business engaged in any illegal activity under any state, federal, or local law. So because marijuana is still classified as a Schedule I substance under the Controlled Substance Act, the SBA is not giving out any PPP loans or EIDL loans to businesses involved in marijuana. Additionally, businesses involved, they call them indirect marijuana businesses, they're also not getting any PPP loans or EIDL loans. So that's kind of the reality we're in right now. It's very unfortunate. There's been multiple members of Congress that have raised concerns about this. There's been letters written. There's even, I think, been legislation proposed to basically allow these type of marijuana businesses and indirect marijuana businesses to get these small business loans, but they haven't moved so far to become law yet. But that's kind of the situation right now with regarding these business loans for marijuana businesses under the CARES Act.
And you guys over at Sachs Attorney are tracking this pretty closely. And
oh yeah, we offer, you know, business advice. We can help you with the loan. You know, we can talk to banks. We can do anything you need us to. But yeah, we have multiple articles. Again, go to our website, saxtyranny.com. We've written articles about these PPP loans, these EIDL loans, you know, how you can get these loans. In fact, there's a bill pending. It'll probably pass tomorrow. The initial $300 billion for the PPP loans that they've already ran out of that. So Congress is going to refund that another $300 billion. So yeah, the money's there, and it's on a first come first served basis. So yeah, it's yeah, you need to apply as soon as you can. I want to highlight though that hemp businesses are eligible because of the Farm Bill. While marijuana businesses are not, hemp bills can. So I know we're focused on cannabis more here, but yeah, if you are a hemp business or something, yeah, the PPP loan is available for you.
I like you, Joe. You know a lot of stuff.
Thank you.
Let's go to Liz now. Liz, I know you and I have been talking, and there's definitely some stuff that you're dealing with right now. And I know a lot of questions have come into specifically, how are new patients coming on? So let's hear a little bit about some of the struggles you're seeing right now.
Hey, Liz, you're on mute.
You're
Unmute. She unmute herself.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go.
We don't want too many patients in the office as well. We're trying to keep everybody at a distance. We're texting them prior, we're calling them prior, telling them to stay in their car and that we'll check them in. Trying to do the best we can to keep everyone safe and distant. You know, we've had a lot of tears. You know, we have a lot of concerns and worries. There's a lot of people coming in and not necessarily respecting the space, and maybe someone else is more concerned than the other. It's just a lot of controversy, unfortunately. And, you know, we really we're sad that we couldn't get telemedicine like most people in the state got it, except for our patients, which happen to be high risk.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just been doing our best. You know, patients are not happy coming in. We have no other alternative for them. So we do what we can. We're just, we're doing more of the work than we used to, share the load a little bit, but we try to have them touch nothing, do nothing, just, you know, take their picture and quickly get out. I mean, they see the doctor, of course, but hopefully not too many other people, and just keep things simple, one person in at a time. It's really 3 people that we're allowing in at a time, but sometimes it's not easy to control that.
Have you had any patients tell you that they tested positive for COVID?
Not yet.
Has anybody had any, maybe Mo or Lilac, any patients come in and said, I tested positive for COVID, how is my marijuana going to impact me? Or anybody, Mo?
No. So here's the thing, right? There's a total shortage of tests nationwide and in this state too. I think in Tucson at one point, there were maybe like only 300 tests available for the whole state. I know that. So, you know, the likelihood of people actually having a positive test is really low. And I can say we haven't heard from any of our patients, because usually anybody who is coming back positive is staying put at home. I think there's a bigger issue here though, like contactless payments, as Tyler had talked about. We have 230,000 Arizonans who are not able to pay online and have contactless payments like you can for alcohol, like you can for, you know, a lot of other things, prescription drugs, food. And to Liz's point with telemedicine, that's the same thing, right? Doctors and certification centers shouldn't be put in that position. If there's a bunch of people sitting around at home for a month, call your elected officials. This is the time to actually get angry about something and do something about it, because you have the time. And you know, the fact that you have Charlotte Figi die this month earlier on, and we still haven't seen any real reform when it comes to banking as well as payments, and then telemedicine, which is more at the state level. It's something that now's kind of the time to get a little worked up about and stop being so nice to everybody who says no to cannabis. Because at the end of the day, Smart and Safe is going to bring in $300 million annually. The state's got a $1.1 billion deficit after the economy just crashed, which it has completely. And they need us. They need us more than they ever have. This is the time to leverage up. Anybody in the cannabis space, this is where you go and say, you know what? You need me more than I need you. You need my revenue. You need my sales tax. You need my economic support. And I know the SBA and all that stuff isn't doing what they should be doing right now. But I think this is where people really need to have that mindset that you owe us for helping be a bastion of the economy right now here in Arizona. And I think that's why we should continue to push that messaging forward and not worry so much about tests as much as we should about getting everybody in masks. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to have enough tests probably till 2025, the way this administration's going. So we should just focus on, you know, protecting ourselves more than anything else.
Back up to, we got to get to Alex and Lilac up top, and then to Tyler and Sam.
I just want to say, if there was a retweet button in real life, I would have just smashed it. Big ups to what Mo said.
You know, they should mix, like, what's that one app with all the little emojis and stuff? The Snapchat. If they mix Snapchat and Zoom, might be onto something there. Lilac, your reality 2 months ago versus your reality today, the biggest differences, changes that you've seen. I know, and you can speak to cultivations and dispensaries, so take some time and let people know the difference between February 1st and May 1st. Well, it's not May yet. But
Almost, right?
time, you know?
Yeah.
I think we live in a whole different reality, which is sometimes hard to grasp. I think we woke up to this storm and we're all experiencing it in a different way. And that's kind of what we have to remember. I hear a lot of people saying we're all in the same boat, but we're not. And how we experience it could be definitely different than the patient just coming in or our employee and what they go through. So trying to remember that we, just like pretty much everyone else, have moved to almost completely curbside. And that has been challenging. I think people do like to come into a dispensary, and they definitely, new patient that has to go through this journey of understanding cannabis now have to stand outside and figure out what to do. And that has been challenging and frustrating for them. We pride ourselves at being able to spend time with each patient. We offer complimentary consulting for any new patient because it's such a hard, difficult journey to go through. So not being able to offer that and seeing patients getting frustrated and sad has been challenging for the team. But we have been very successful at not having huge lines and really taking care of them, and people that have difficulties ordering online for one reason or the others be able to call us and we'll put that order in for them. So on the dispensary side, as much as it's not the service that we love giving and that personal touch, I think we are doing the most that we can in this environment. A lot of it is educating, right? We did videos on how to order online and what is every product and what you should start with, just to be able to communicate that to patients as much as we can. So that's kind of on the dispensary side. We are trying to push Hypur as much as possible because that is the next level, to be able to not have that touch point with money. Definitely cash right now, nobody wants to touch that. It would be very beneficial. The rest of us, I mean, people that can work from home or working at home, we're definitely using a lot more Google Hangouts or Zooms or whatever that is for meetings. We have staggered the workforce. So on the cultivation side, they're coming in much earlier than others, just to be able to have less and less people in the building at the same time. And really, I think the most important thing that we realized through this, and I think that's probably for everyone here and everybody's listening, is that we are a community, no matter what, if it's a team, if it's an organization, if it's the industry, and we all depend on each other, right? If it's the supply, the attorneys, the edible brand, the growers, the delivery guys, this is a domino effect, and every person through that link matters. And we depend on all of you, and we depend on everyone supporting each other through this and through this hard time, and really being part of this industry and coming and showing up and being positive and really listening to each other. And I think that is the biggest thing that we're going to take out of this, is that we're a team, but it's not just the giving tree, it's this whole industry. And the good thing about being independently owned is that we can pivot quick and do things quickly and change things, but we can't do it without everybody else being part of this and helping us through it. So I think understanding the big picture team has been meaningful.
Well, that's great. And I'll get to Alex and Sam and Kim and John and Sue in a second. But let's move down to Hypur. I'm not sure if you got structured and set up the same way that I can see you, but that's a nice natural segue into Tyler from Hypur. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about how your work reality has changed, from February until April, and how it's different. But also talk a little bit about Hypur, because I'm out and about, and I'm noticing where I touch and stuff, because you can't help but think about it. And I keep thinking that wherever I get Diet Coke at Subway, Finger, or wherever I use the debit machine at Subway or Circle K, that's where I'm going to get my COVID. So anyways, Tyler, talk about Hypur, how your reality has changed, and a little bit about your product.
Yeah, I think, for us, again, we've been a huge beneficiary of this, which is bittersweet. And we've, to Lilac's point, we've seen the community really come together. And for us, it's not only been the rollout of all the retailers, but it's been such a heavy lift on the integration side. So all of the delivery providers, the wholesale platforms, all of the other things that we touch, it takes a lot of work to get those tech integrations done. And so I think for us, it's sped up the inevitable. But I think there's something else I want to touch on too. And Mo brought it up. This is such a great time to get loud about these issues. And you have a situation now where the industry is deemed essential, and yet you have people incarcerated in prison, and it's a complete, it completely goes against one another. And I think that the one thing that people need to realize is, if you look at the SAFE Act or some of the legislation that's out there, like to Mo's point, to help with banking and payments, that doesn't solve the problem. The only thing that's going to really impact this is federal legality, period. And so I think the more that we reach out and the more that we push, we have to focus on those things. On the Hypur side, on the payment side, again, as we've rolled out in these states, you know, the contactless part of Hypur has really been a windfall. So again, you know, from a consumer perspective, they can pre-order online or order delivery. When it gets to their door, they get a text message, they enter their 4-digit code, the transaction's done. So we're trying to really hit COVID head on through that standpoint. And again, that's just created massive growth for us. So we've been very fortunate.
Well, thank you, Tyler. Alex, you're everywhere. You're across the state. You've seen other people's realities change, and your reality has changed. Tell us from February to April, what stands out, the biggest distinctions in your mind?
Sure. Well, yeah, we are in a lot of places. We do business with over 150 brick and mortar retail locations here in Arizona alone. And so right away, we saw the importance to protect our drivers and limit their impact on the places that they go. So big shout out to Mo from downtown for hooking up our team right away with PPE, which allowed us to not lose any time fulfilling those orders. We had to adjust our distribution schedules to accommodate stores that were just overloaded with patients and had limited availability to receive those orders. So we worked with our retailers to kind of fine tune that, and in some cases providing weekend deliveries because their schedules have changed. We've always felt a responsibility to get that product to the store on the time that we promised, but now it's gone from a responsibility to an absolute obligation, because when we don't get it there, that could be patients that go without their product. So in regard to education, we've increased resources for remote training, and I'm happy to report we haven't had to furlough or lay off any of our staff, including our field marketing team, who has kind of shifted more behind the desk and opened up that resource for our retailers to stay engaged and stay educated on the products that we sell. And our brand partners also have not had to furlough or lay anyone off. So major kudos to ILava, Drip, for keeping their staff. But we definitely, Drip has shifted to a 7-day-a-week production schedule to meet the demand. So this is definitely a big pivot for them, going from 5 days a week to 7 days a week on production. And the R&D hasn't stopped. We still are trying to push to the next innovation. We had ILava packaging that was held up in customs twice because of this COVID, and we needed it by 4/20. We had it the Friday before, and Mo's team was able to get that new 100% sustainable package on the shelf despite these challenges. So we don't want the innovation to stop. We want to be able to continue what we're doing, and I think without having the same support that other essential businesses do, it makes it very difficult. So I'd like to echo Mo's, sentiment. If you got time to sit, you got time to write the politicians and affect change. And we need it now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, let's hear from you. How have your realities changed?
From February to April.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll focus on kind of the work of the association, not my personal reality, only because I'm in a weird place, right? I am the only day-to-day person with the ADA. Many of you know or have interacted with Pele, who is our government relations representative, and she is amazing. But the work of the ADA has really shifted in some ways, but in many ways has remained consistent. A big part of our work is to represent the association when it comes to regulatory issues and policy issues with the state agencies. So instead of maybe checking in with the Department of Health on an every other week basis, we have now just an open line of communication with them when it comes to shifts in deliveries, shifts in getting new dispensary agents up to speed, making sure that we get rapid feedback from the department on changes and shifts. And there were many people involved in this, but I will say, if you either sold or purchased medical cannabis after March 16th, in large part, you have the members of the Arizona Dispensaries Association to thank for that, because our unified voice in that effort, and the relationships and the efforts that we have at the state legislature and regulatory bodies helped make sure that we were one of those essential businesses. It's something that not every state can even boast about, right? We see the rec markets in Colorado and California shut down, and even medical markets in Vegas have largely been shut down to retail experience. So again, just a big thank you to our members, and I think that's a roundabout way to say that some things have changed, but I think the work of the association continues, and if anything, just is more important. So if you're on this call and not a member, give me a shout.
And that's the essential business aspect of it. That's our next topic. But let's go through Kim, and then John, and then Sue, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Your reality, Kim, and I was going to make a joke, but there's not enough time. Kim, your reality from February until April, big changes.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot busier. Communication, as I indicated before, has become even more essential. So we're very busy. Internal communications for companies, external communications, investor relations are very important during this time to let companies know, your stakeholders, that you're very healthy, that you're doing well, that your company's doing well. And then just a real quick word of advice. During this time, I would really avoid any humor in your communications. We've heard of a couple April Fool's kind of things that fell flat. The media has reached out to us. So just be really thoughtful about your communications. As Lilac said, some people are sad. So use communications really to be the glue to bind you. Don't forget your internal customers, your employees, and your external customers, your patients, the B2B customers, as well as your stakeholders. So we just encourage everyone to keep communicating, be really clear, and be super thoughtful.
I'll stop with the jokes about Nadim's.
You can make a joke. We love you, Demitri. You can make a joke.
All right. It's gotten old. It's gotten old.
Yeah.
John, you're the packaging guy, and packaging comes from China too. Tell us about what's happening in the packaging world and how your realities changed February to April.
Sure. So we do procure some of our packaging from China, and of course, the Wuhan incidents started happening during the Chinese New Year, which slowed some things down. I heard Alex talk a little bit about customs, and our ports have had issues from an importing standpoint. But at the end of the day, this is our business, and we have seen no more than a few days in increased timelines for getting packaging produced and in our hands. And fortunately for our team, we have a really strong professional procurement team that has built really great relationships, not only with, like Kim said, our internal customers, our vendors, our suppliers, our customs agents that we work with on a regular basis. It can be a challenge, but at the end of the day, we have seen a really strong response to wanting to support American businesses, small businesses, and we pretty much all fit into that category. In our company, we have not, we've actually grown our team during this period of time. We've tightened our belt a little bit and started to see opportunities to grow and expand. I think it's important for us all to take care of the teams that we have on board now, to leverage only the programs that are absolutely necessary as they are available to you or your employees, and be responsible citizens from that standpoint.
This is like a dream team of talent here that I see in front of me. It's really cool. Thank you.
I was thinking earlier, I just, when I grow up, I want to be as smart as Jennifer Corso and as well-spoken as Kim Prance.
Yeah. I just want to be Sue's dog. That's it. Or Nadim's shirt. I'm just, okay. I had to say it.
Oh
my goodness.
Okay. Sue, you're up. Research. What from February to April? Research. What's changed? The difference.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're not allowed to screen new patients. So all we're doing is we're letting the people who are in our studies are allowed to complete their treatment. And we're working on new study protocols now while we're forced into this downtime. We're busy writing protocol. We're working on a study looking at psilocybin mushrooms combined with cannabis, which is a common practice, I guess, in our veteran community. The military veterans are reporting good experiences with mixing those. And so we're going to try to do a safety study examining the combo. And mainly for me, you know, I'm a, you know, full-time physician, so I'm busy doing telemedicine full-time with the Native American tribes. And that's been really important because even though our numbers in Arizona, our COVID cases are starting to slowly plateau and trend down in some counties, the Native American tribes continue to trend up. And it's been really scary because a lot of these tribes are so small. And if they get, you know, an infection ripped through there, it could wipe out half the tribe. So, so that's been real. I don't know if many of you might not be aware that a lot of our patients in the tribes live in such remote areas. They don't have access to running water or electricity. A lot of them are only reachable by horseback. So getting them to physically distance and even just do basic hand sanitizing has been really hard. So hopefully we can help them get this contained and treat those that are sick, and that's it. But we're the research, even though it's been paused, it's not stopped. We continue to build protocols, work on getting approvals. The FDA FDA, DEA, the IRB committees are still very responsive during this time. So we've had good luck getting approvals to get ready for studies that'll hopefully be starting summer and fall.
You know, when Sheila Polk says marijuana users are more likely to get COVID because they smoke pot, I don't know what she said, but she's going to say something like that eventually.
Right.
What do you say, Sue? I mean, you're a physician, you're an expert. What's the response to that? Because I can see that coming.
Right. Well, they do have a little bit of data that's been published now about smokers in general being more susceptible to getting an infection that would then, you know, take over the lungs, cause what we call ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. So smoking may predispose you to getting full-blown ARDS, but again, we don't have randomized controlled trials to verify. This is just some observational studies, survey data that they've collected. So I don't know, it's going to be tough. I mean, the main thing is I'm hoping that my fellow scientists will start focusing their research efforts on COVID and the interaction with cannabis. So there's a lot we could study there, and to bring science to the table and kind of help dissipate some of the hysteria.
This is a question. Let me get to K.I.N.D and Baked Rose and Lilac and Mo on this one. Oh, and Alex, of course. Have you guys, any of you guys take it first, have you guys seen an increase towards vape pens and edibles and away from flour, or comments from patients such? Whoever wants to take that one first can take it. Mo, Nadine?
Well, to kind of piggyback off of COVID being a respiratory disease, it is, right? That's very concerning and alarming. And I did put it into the chat for the attendees. I'm not sure if they're able to click the link, they have to copy it. But Derek, our Director of Education, compiled a lot of information that is available in some of the research, not particularly pertaining to COVID and cannabis use, but cannabis or smoking and the lungs. Right, and there is what we have our dose of education on our website. If you want to read up on it, it's actually a very, very fascinating topic. We also did just do an episode release, a podcast release on cannabis in the lungs, where we talked about this a little bit more. But to answer your question specifically, I haven't seen it directly, but in terms of getting orders out and getting product out there, I mean, we are delivering a lot of edibles right now, and it's kind of common sense. I mean, just stating, I haven't seen the numbers. I don't know the numbers. I hope somebody does here. But it's kind of common sense. This is, again, a respiratory disease. I don't want to put myself more at risk by smoking. To me, that would be, kind of common sense. And so I understand that's not an option for everybody, but there are ways to maximize your edibles. There is data showing that vaping is safer than smoking. In particularly, we really shouldn't smoke anything. I'm not saying or advocating against it. I smoke cannabis myself, but that's kind of what we've been able to put together right now.
Who wants to go next? Ian?
Yeah, I kind of mirror Nadeem, and I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen more of a reduction in sales. With us, mainly being, our vape product is our #1 seller, we have not seen sales dip. I've been tracking, kind of vigorously over the last couple of weeks, kind of waiting for it to happen, and it just hasn't happened. Again, it would make sense, but I think that everybody's they're set in their ways, and I think that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, we have not seen a dip in sales in vape.
Mo, tell us what you see.
Okay. I think
not what you want to see, what you see.
I think that the CDC made a lot of noise about vaping. You guys remember that whole thing about this fake vaping crisis?
Right.
Yeah, it never really existed, right? They should have been worried more about the virus. Surgeon General was tweeting roses are red, vaping's horrible, blah, blah, and now here we are. And this is what they really should have been focusing on. To Nadeem's point, I mean, yeah, I do think that there's some people, if you're already at risk, should you be smoking at this time? Probably not, but at the same time, I personally do. And I know a lot of us use cannabis, and I don't think that long-term you're going to see dwindling in smoking or in vaping, simply because of the fact that this is a very stressful time. You have people who are stuck at home, probably with kids, if they have them screaming all day. I think you're going to need something to deal with it, right? I mean, I see Danielle nodding her head. But I think if you have that level of stress, you actually are probably going to get sicker not doing anything about it. And, that's why I think cannabis use exists. It's really a wellness tool, be it edibles, vaping, or smoking. And I think that we have to not necessarily say one product is good versus one product is bad, but simply make sure every product that's out there is being, as safe as possible, tested. I know that labs are also running on skeleton crews right now, so that's got to be tough for them, because we're seeing, sometimes people calling out sick in this environment, and may not be COVID, but it's just adapting to this new reality of saying, we will still have to fulfill orders and meet this demand and have less of a staff to do it. And I think that's kind of where the whole perspective is regarding Sheila Polk. She should be over at Yavapai County Hospital volunteering, and she should skip the PPE.
That's funny. Lilac and then Liz. Lilac, what do you see? Vape pen sales, retail, flower sales, edible sales. What kind of pattern do you see evolving there? Anything?
We're not seeing a decrease in flower sales. I don't think vape sales or flower has been decreasing. I think people are definitely still using that. A lot of times it is kind of like Mo said, it's a quick distress, which is helpful at this point. So on our end, I don't think we have seen any shift in trends of what is selling.
Liz, you're probably talking more patients on the daily basis than just anyone. So what do you see? What do you hear from them? Do you hear patients saying, I'm going to quit flower because of COVID, and maybe that's not being seen in the dispensaries? What do you hear from your patients? You're muted, Liz. You're muted. I'm going to sing until you unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think a few people are switching over to vapes, but I don't think anyone's stopping their smoking. If anything, maybe people are just stockpiling, worrying about, if they're healthy and they need to stock up versus if they get sick, and, how to combat that.
Anyone else want to chime in here on this one?
I'd like to, after Alex, I'd love to hear what Jennifer has to say about it, just given the nature of her background. I would love to.
Yeah, let's go up to Jennifer and then over to Alex.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think one thing people would have to worry about, you've already said, where if they're already predisposed, say they have COPD, emphysema, other respiratory disease, or if they have asthma or have been a long-term or heavy smoker, then it would go with any other medical advice. And I'm not a medical practitioner. I mean, I appreciate you asking about, you know, my thoughts on this, because I'm in scientific literature every day, and I have been for almost a decade, I guess, at this point. But I think one thing that we don't know yet, that you could dig around and you could put information together based on some research and data that are out there, are drug-drug interactions. Like we all heard about the unfortunate incident of the gentleman that, you know, essentially took a fatal dose of chloroquine, thinking if he acquired chloroquine after, you know, testing positive, and took a dose of something that really has a 2-gram fatality limit in like a 170-pound person, then yes, that was a not very educated thing to do. But at the same time, we don't know a lot about drug-drug interaction. So it's hard to give advice from any medical standpoint. Practitioners, MDs, anybody, you know, on how THC or CBD intake is going to affect, you know, any of the drugs that we know. I mean, we can say that, you know, you hear a lot of practitioners say, for good reason, you know, avoid consuming alcohol when taking, you know, an antidepressant or something like that. We just don't know how, you know, THC, CBD based products, both, you know, full spectrum cannabis products in any formulation, is going to have any impact on any drug that you may have to unfortunately take if you do test positive for COVID and are hospitalized. So that's something that the industry should pay attention to a little bit, and then that the medical industry definitely needs to figure out.
Nadine, you guys been talking offline. I didn't see that coming. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I would have come to you next time.
No, she just mentioned, you know, biology, and I was like, this ought to be interesting.
I mean, I can tell you, I've personally looked into it, and I can send data your way if you're really interested in that, because we do know CBD is a cytochrome P450 inhibitor. THC can, you know, have another impact on drug metabolism and bioavailability. I mean, that research is out there, how it interacts with like hydrochloroquine and chloroquine and azithromycin and other drugs that we're looking at for treatments for COVID. That's a whole nother question and deserves a whole lot of attention. And our industry definitely deserves that kind of attention too.
That's exciting stuff. Alex, you're up.
Yeah, just speaking, you know, about the feedback we've received from patients. You know, I'm not in a position to, you know, make a medical claim here, but what we saw initially was a huge surge in RSO buying. And what we heard from those patients was, from their perspective, having access to that product was pivotal for them maintaining a healthy immune system. You know, regardless of the cold hard facts on that, you know, that was what we were hearing from patients. And we were hearing, you know, that they wanted assurances that this product would be available for them, you know, given the panic buying that was happening. So, you know, I think it showed us what people deemed as essential, and flower sales went through the roof. But I think it's important to drive home that not everyone buying flower is smoking it. It's just something that can be used in multiple ways if needed. So, you know, it's been interesting to see vape sales are also up, but mostly in the larger 1 gram category and not so much in the half gram category. So I just wanted to share that information with you.
Well, excellent. This is such great information. You know, I'm getting more questions for Joe. I think everybody sees the attorney and they're like, let's get some free advice.
See you later.
Just so let me just real quickly, can hemp testing labs apply for SBA loans, Joe?
Well, the SBA hasn't been entirely clear on this, but if it doesn't violate federal law, yes, they should be able to apply for them. Again, because hemp is legal based on the 2018 Farm Bill, yeah, hemp doesn't violate any federal law, so yes, they should be able to apply for it. Again, this is not legal advice. This is not.
Oh yeah, let's qualify that.
Yeah, qualify that. Yeah.
By the way, I am qualified to give medical advice. I am a Native American
Yeah.
and the medicine man culture. It's an experience thing, not necessarily a board certified thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
if you need any medical advice, you can ask me, but not legal advice. You guys, anyway,
Yeah.
the other thing was, although I wonder how that worked back in the tribal situation. Well, we'll get to that later. Tribes, what is the tribal environment? I know it's unrelated to the COVID subject, but somebody had asked us what's happening with tribes in Arizona and cannabis.
Tribes and cannabis. Well, again, there was basically kind of thinking of this more broadly. Marijuana is still illegal at the federal level. You know, it's a controlled substance. It's a Schedule 1 under the Controlled Substance Act. It's illegal. However, due to the, you know, the memorandums, the Wilkinson memorandum, different memorandums, federal prosecutors have said they're going to use discretion when deciding to prosecute marijuana crimes. We had Jeff Sessions in 2018 rescind the Obama era DOJ memorandums, where the Obama era DOJ then said, you know, if the state legalizes it and you're doing it, you know, underneath the state auspices, you're regulated by the state, we're not going to prosecute anybody. Jeff Sessions rescinded that in January 4, 2018. But as we've seen lately, the feds have kind of let states kind of go, you know, do what they want to do. Indian tribes are in a unique situation, though. One thing is Indian land is considered federal land as well, because it's called trust land. That's the term of art they use, which means that the federal government actually owns the land in benefit for the tribe. So these reservations, all this land's in trust. It's by the United States. So basically, regarding tribes and cannabis, there have been tribes that have successfully been involved in the cannabis industry. Tribes in Washington, tribes in Oregon. Tribes in Washington, Oregon, and Nevada. And what they've done there is they've entered into compacting agreements with the states. These are tribes that are in states that have legalized cannabis at the state level, and the feds have left these tribes alone. So the question really becomes is, one, is the tribe in a state that has legalized cannabis? Arizona, yes, medical, but we're not recreational. Two, if the tribe did try to open up a cannabis operation or whatever, you would always have that federal illegality hanging over your head. It'd be a cloud over it. So it would really be up to the DOJ, their discretion, whether they want to prosecute or not. So really, I mean, yeah, it's still unclear. Tribes have made it work. In fact, I think one of the biggest cannabis dispensaries in the nation is in Las Vegas. It's the Las Vegas Paiute tribe. They have a dispensary right there in the middle of Las Vegas because they've entered into a compact with the state of Nevada. So a lot of tribes have, you know, entered into these lucrative partnerships with the state. They're making tons of money. But as far as Arizona goes, the tribes have not really taken any steps so far. And I think there's just a lot of uncertainties, a lot of unknowns at this time.
A couple, if anybody wants to comment, just stick their hand up and, you know, but a couple more individual specific questions. I just want to get as many of these out as possible because these are our audience asking questions. Sam, Smart and Safe initiative, ballot signatures. Do they have enough signatures to make the ballot? And if so, when are they announcing?
I know that Joe is the lawyer on the call, but I'll play one and I'll say it depends. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
so
the
quick and easy answer is yes, we have enough signatures to qualify for the ballot as of today. Although, just like those panic buyers that we talked about earlier, you can never have enough, right? Whether we're talking about flour on the shelf or signatures for your petitions. So we are still working very hard to get as many signatures as possible. And I just want to highlight a couple of the dynamics at play. First is that the Smart and Safe campaign started early. We had the experience, whether for good or for otherwise, we've had this experience a few years ago, right? So we knew what to expect. We knew the building blocks that were necessary to get to where we're at today. So we were able to start a little bit earlier. We also had the support financially from many on the panel and many on the call as well to help and facilitate the early gathering. So we are in a place that no other campaign in Arizona can boast. And obviously, as was mentioned earlier, no other campaign across the country can boast about where we're at right now. So while we are very confident that we are in a good place, we always want to be better. And we are looking to eclipse those goals so that we are quote unquote bulletproof to use that phrase so if anybody wants to come and attack us, because there's good and there's bad, right? If we are the only thing on the ballot, that puts us in a great position. But if we're the only thing on the ballot, that means that our opposition has a singular focus. So your support to help us get as many signatures as possible is essential, but we are very confident right now that we're in a very positive place.
Okay, here's another question for Liz, but I'm just going to turn it into a statement because it really should just be a statement. Please, whatever you can do to help patients during this time, everyone who's involved in the cannabis space, recognizing their financial realities, to help them with their certification in any way possible, certifications, etc. Please make that effort. That's the question was sort of about that. So whatever can be done, please consider the patients are struggling as well. Tyler, this question is for you. I'm a patient and I'm interested in using Hypur. How do I know my personal information is safe?
Yeah, we're a bank technology company at the core, so our security protocols are far above and beyond what a normal payment provider would have to. So everything we do on our platform is tokenized, and we no longer require a full social from a consumer standpoint. So we made that adjustment about a month and a half ago. That's been very favorable, obviously, for the consumer base.
All right, thank you. Liz, has the certification process or evaluation process changed in any way or been impeded by COVID? Liz is gone. She mutes herself. Liz.
Okay, sorry. Yes. A lot of people don't want to come in. A lot of people who are saying, look, I'm in quarantine, I can't come in. So a lot of people are suffering. Let's talk about the new patients that have just discovered their need for it because of their new diagnosis. They're put on hold too. A lot of people are just concerned and don't want to come into any public situation. So as much as we're seeing patients, we're still seeing a good number of people, but this is our season. Typically, we're a little busier in the winter, and I don't know. I guess people are really just, it's controversial. Some people feel comfortable, some people don't. I'll tell you, our Dr. Oshana, she's worked for me for 7 years, and she takes care of her 97-year-old mom who has Alzheimer's. So she just went through breast cancer, thankfully is a survivor now. And, she's at risk. She puts her mom at risk. She can't come to work. Now she's out of her job because she's literally, making her own moral decision. So between patients and the doctors, it's really not an easy situation to witness the confusion. And I think that we're being discriminated upon. And I've been begging people left and right to call the governor, and DHS won't do anything without the governor. And we've been asking and calling, and we're chopped liver over here.
You are the Lady Aberline of Mr. Rogers' neighborhoods. I love you.
Thank you.
I always say MITA is like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, So,
I like your neighborhood.
It's a nice neighborhood. So we're getting down to our last 10 minutes. So I want to give everybody 30 seconds to close about their business, about their activities, about COVID, but really anything you want to, get out to the community. And since there's 12 of us, let's just go ahead and take 30 seconds each. Lilac, Kindred, dispensaries, let's start with you. What would you like to say to the world out there?
Well, I guess I want to give a shout out to everybody who's working in this industry right now, for my team and for everyone here on the panel and everyone's listening. This is not easy, and a lot of times no one is stopping to say thank you, and thank you for all the great work. I also want, if any patients are listening, that they'll know that, I mean, we are here and we're open and we're here to serve them and to give them the best relief we can offer. Be patient with us. Anyone that's serving you right now is risking themselves and doing as much as they can to make sure that you're okay. And just be kind. You know, spreading kindness is so much better right now than spreading the stress that we are all going through. So I think overall it is important to know that dispensaries are open, we are growing cannabis, there is no short of supply. And just thank everyone that are making it happen.
You know, this is awesome. Thank you, Lilac. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you
And
for having me.
since you said kind, let's move up to Ian, because kind is above you if you're looking for it.
Yeah, thank you guys. So, I mean, again, if there's patients that are listening, I mean, we're here basically because of your support. So we want to thank you. And if there's ever any questions, patients, dispensaries, anybody at all, you can always go to our website, K.I.N.D.com or KINDconcentrates.com. Believe it or not, we literally see every single email that comes through. They personally forward half of them to me, so I see them. So yeah, if there's ever any questions, please feel free. That's kind of our forum for the best way to reach us. I mean, again, we love to be out in the public, like any of these other brands. They talk about the importance of getting out there and just getting in front of the patients and the dispensaries. That's what we love to do. And in these times, we just can't. So let's just use technology to the best of our abilities and communicate that way.
Thank you, K.I.N.D. I've known you guys since the beginning, and you guys are a great organization. Joe from Saks Tierney, go ahead and give us your closing remarks. And we're going to have you back for the Smart and Safe panel, the whole
Okay,
legalization.
great.
That's all law. That's all legalese, market
Okay, great.
structures, technical details. And
Okay.
you're fantastic. I've never heard you
thank
speak
you.
like this before. So
Thank you. Just two quick things. Because I deal with the legal side. One, I think we just need to raise awareness. I don't know how many people is engaged in political activism, but as a lawyer, seeing these laws getting passed and a lot of these laws are shutting out the cannabis industry, I think it's just a huge injustice. And I think there needs to be pressure put on the politicians to understand the importance of the cannabis industry, the importance of the revenue they bring in, the importance of the jobs that it's providing, and the laws need to be changed. So that's one. Two, I also think, you know, with all the disruption and, you know, new laws getting passed every day, everything's just so fluid and changing by the minute. Employers, if you guys have any legal issues at all, go to SaksTierney.com. You know, we're there to help. We're a full service firm. We provide cannabis, you know, guidance, employment law. We do real estate, banking, really anything you need. So yeah, just look us up, SaksTierney.com. We're there for you guys. We support the industry, and we're, you know, just proud to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How about Jennifer? How about some words of encouragement in your closing remarks? Tell us, you know, from Level 1 Labs.
I think one of the biggest things is to remember that all of us have our place in the industry and we all affect each other and that we are all essential. I mean, our foundation of the lab is not only to protect the patients in an ethical way, but a lot of the businesses, if not, you know, the majority of the businesses in the industry rely on the laboratories to provide them with accurate results so they know their products are safe. They rely on us for formulating their products. I know like Nadim and Bake Bros proudly display their test results for all of the product batches they produce. And sometimes the laboratories can we're kind of out of the spotlight to a consumer. You know, they go into a dispensary, they don't go into a lab, but I think I speak for all the labs and everybody else here in emphasizing that everybody here is essential and that we all have our place in which businesses and patients rely upon every single one of us in a different way. I did also want to say, you know, listening to what Liz has to say about trying to survive with a clinic in the middle of this is, I kind of have advice for everybody that has a medical card renewal coming up to go renew your medical card. Liz, I actually have an appointment with you tomorrow to renew my medical card, which is awesome. But if you listen to projections out there by foremost infectious disease experts, they think this thing is going to be seasonal, and that is not something to shake a stick at. So we know that gratefully we passed a 2-year renewal. So if patients out there are listening, or if anybody here can reach out to patients and suggest a renewal, now would be a good time to do it, because we have no idea what's going to change. So everybody keep moving forward and stay motivated. Yeah. Thank you all for letting me be here too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna go to Alex because he's like the Daniel Tiger of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
Thanks, Dimitri. Yeah, no, I just want a huge shout out to all of the bud tenders out there. I mean, everyone is essential in this, but the patient consultants and the bud tenders out in the front line on a daily basis, just a huge thank you to you and all of our retailers. And my team for not wavering from the responsibility that we have as essential workers. I think a lot of dispensary agents didn't realize they were signing up to be representatives of the Arizona Department of Health Services during a health pandemic. But, you know, huge kudos to everyone who's risen to the occasion. Anyone who's wavering from their responsibility, you know, now is the time to really you know, do what we're passionate about and practice what we preach. So thank you to everyone for showing up day in and day out so we can all do what we do.
Awesome. Very good point. And Sue, I'd love to hear some closing remarks and words of encouragement from you. You sent out a beautiful email, kind of piggybacking what Alex said about just, you know, giving a shout out to everyone that's been on the front lines during all of this. So.
Sue, you there?
Oh, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
And Sue,
Okay.
you're like the big bird here. I know that's Sesame Street, but you know, what is Sesame Street without Big Bird? Come on, guys. Okay, so
I so appreciate, I mean, everybody's comments so far have been right on. There's no question that this industry is saving lives. We're seeing increased suicidality, you know, more people thinking of having thoughts of death and dying, and cannabis is definitely helping stabilize them. I'm so proud to be participating in this industry where you guys are helping keep people out of the hospital, keep their morale up. I hear daily feedback from patients about all the kindness that you're showing to them and all the changes that you've made, that you've implemented to help them feel safe. So just, you know, huge commendation to you guys, and we will keep forging ahead, and I'll keep you guys updated on the research front as things come up.
Okay, Sue, thank you again.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry to merge my Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers here. But let's go with Tyler. And Tyler, I'm just going to give you Cookie Monster. You're the Cookie Monster of the cannabis industry.
Kind of the same thing. I just want to thank everybody. I mean, we've been really fortunate to have amazing retail partners, you know, the Lilacs of the world, and really been fortunate to grow, you know, this community nationwide. And, you know, Arizona's been the hub for a lot throughout the country. So, you know, I want to thank everybody for getting it done. And politically, you know, look, the driver for politicians is money. And right now, states need that tax revenue more than ever. And so, again, you know, back to Mo's point at the beginning, I think the more vocal we can all be to our representatives, the better off we're going to be. But again, thank you, everybody. And if you need anything, my contact info, I think, will be on the last frame. And please feel free to call or email.
Yeah, you know, Tyler Hypur, I always get the name. Hypur is, so many things are being talked about Hypur. And I think it's exciting that your guys are based in Arizona. So as an Arizona industry, we need to be rooting for Hypur because that is the home team, folks. That is the home team. So who's next? We'll go to Lady Aberline of the industry, Kim Prince.
Well, Dimitri, thank you again, and thanks to everyone here. I guess we all are in a compassionate business, a compassionate industry. So I want to give a huge shout out again to each one of you. And from K.I.N concentrates to what we've been talking about, just remembering to be kind. We had a client we were getting in an intense situation with, he's across the country. We were kind of taking it personally, and then we realized that his whole family is in the restaurant business. So he's feeling a lot of pressure that we knew nothing about, even though he's in the cannabis industry. So stay kind, stay compassionate, stay fierce. And like Mo said, stay politically aware. Project a very, anyway, project well to those who you're trying to sway to bring over to move cannabis forward in the fall. So again, huge thanks to MITA. Stay involved with MITA. Be involved with MITA. Encourage your associates to attend and be involved. And thanks to each one of you for doing what you do. Appreciate
And I apologize. I used Lady Aberline twice. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't take it personally.
No,
Thank you.
yeah, I watch a lot of Sesame Street. What can I say? But it's been a long time.
Thank you.
What is that phrase? Still trying to remember what I'm trying to forget. Sam, ADA, you're up.
Great. I'll be very brief because I'm very grateful for everyone's time and all of the good things have been said. But I will just say that the Department of Health recently just launched their numbers from March, and 250,000 ounces were sold of cannabis in March, more than 17,000 pounds. That's the highest ever single month. And that's because you all are doing wonderful on behalf of the 230,000 patients that we have and the 7,100 DAs. So thanks to you all that do that. And then just a quick reminder, in case you don't know, the first